Horror as a genre was more than just scary. It was more than just easy jump scares and crazy character designs. There was a point in time when horror used to be personal. It was to the point that even the silence itself would put fear into your heart. The silence gave us that feeling of paranoia, the fact that nobody was there but it felt like somebody was watching you. There was really a point in time where horror genuinely made you feel fear and terror even by not seeing or hearing anything. But now it just feels like it's just lost its edge. See, horror has always been something personal, and when I say it's been personal, I mean that it relates back to what being a human is. It's very human to be afraid of the unknown. We live in societies that are based around logic that make us live parallel to the unknown. You never have to really interact with things that you just don't understand. But horror itself used to give us that light into this aspect. It let us interact with themes that we just simply couldn't understand. In your nightmares, you could simply experience this feeling, but in reality, you just wouldn't see it in anywhere else except for the cinema. But like I said before, as time passes by, it seems that horror has lost its edge. Horror simply lost its humanity and we replaced it with a bunch of shitty sequels. Like, how many Conjuring movies do we have to go through until we realize a lot of this stuff is some ass? And I'm not saying the concept is ass or it's stupid, but at the same time, do we have to have like 6 movies about the same concept? Mind you, there's a whole universe for this. So there's Annabelle, there's The Nun, and there's Conjuring. So there's multiple movies, more than 6 even. And it's all based around the same idea of ghost hunters finding these scary situations happening and interacting with them. We don't need this stuff anymore. The reason why the first Conjuring movie was so great is because nobody has ever seen something like that before. But the fact of the matter is, when you drag it on for this long, it gets annoying to see. It's less scary and it becomes more like a novelty. And that to me is why horror doesn't feel right anymore, because not only are we watching novelty, but we're watching stuff that isn't really taken seriously. Psychologically, as people, we know these things aren't real, but for some reason it has an emotional and physical effect on us. Horror used to do this and then some, but now it just simply doesn't even hit the note ever. I remember a time where horror used to really tackle ideas that people actually lived through, where it'd highlight even your nightmares to the folly of human existence, our fear of not being alone in this universe, to even aspects of humans creating our own demise. And on top of that, it'd even show the two sides of being human, one out in public and one in your own personal space. Horror used to depict things that were actually real and used metaphors to describe them, with aliens and even monsters created by some mad scientists. Like all art, it was used as a way to describe our reality, but now it just doesn't do that. And if it does, it doesn't do that very well. Horror itself used to be used as a tool to question ideas and perspectives that we have in the world. But all that we're left with nowadays is some creepypastas and a couple crazy ideas about something that could be scary. In my own personal opinion, I'm so sick and tired of interacting with all this lazy media. Everything looks the same and there really isn't any personality between all these medias. We need to go back to questioning things, and we need smart media back. We need to go back. I think the first time I ever interacted with anything scary was Nollywood movies. Nollywood movies quite literally had some of the scariest shit I've ever seen on them when I was little. I remember the video vividly too. It was a lady with her fingernails growing extremely long, and she was laying in the bed practicing some type of juju or something. I don't know. It was very weird when I seen it for the first time, and that was a scary situation. The second time after that was me observing masquerades, and I think the first time I ever observed them, they quite literally scared me so bad as a kid to the point that I was hiding under the tables at the parties. It took me a very long time to really understand what a masquerade was, but at the time it was a very scary situation because it would chase us around and it'd have us hiding under tables and everything. It was a very scary situation to think about. As a kid, it was damn near horrifying. I think in this time period, we've gotten to a point where it seems that most people don't want to feel fear. And it's not even for the fact that they don't want to, but it's more or less that there's nothing that really scares them. A few months ago, I went and had a conversation with one of my younger cousins, and I asked him something in relation to what are you scared of? Because back in the day when I was his age, I was kind of afraid of the dark. But as he was answering the question, he didn't say anything stereotypical like the dark or scary clowns or anything like that. Bro said he was afraid of the coming economy and the stuff that's going on in society and the world right now. And I fully get it, because look at the world that we're living in right now. We're all so hyper-focused in literally anything and everything, to the point that we go out of our way and see one crazy thing that happens one day, and then another thing the next day, and then another thing the next day, and then it keeps going on until nobody really remembers what the first horrible thing was. It's a consistent cycle of people trying to play with our minds and our attention, to the point that it does seem scary. And for the most part, it's so easy for people to get stuck in these rabbit holes to the point that they can't get out. You stick yourself into an echo chamber where your reality becomes the new horror movie. There's no longer a fear of the unknown, but it's now a fear of knowing too much. And all this is pushed on the younger children who really don't know shit.
First off, fuck art. Second, I don't like this beat they call a heartbeat.
Horror itself needs to evolve with the viewers. It needs to be something that we can all come together and just understand that, yep, this is the collective message of what it's talking about. There was a time where people genuinely used to fear the aspects of bringing people back to life, and we got zombie movies. There was a time where we were questioning our own creations and what we were going to do with our scientific advancements. And there was also a time where people feared Romanian people and wanted to push some religious ideal that wasn't really the way that it was supposed to be perceived. But all jokes aside, horror has always been somewhat of a time capsule of human perspective. We display our ideas and perspectives through horror movies and represent them through metaphoric aspects. That's why movies like Us and Get Out are so well received, because not only have they represented ideals and beliefs and perspectives that have been held by black communities for so long, but instead of telling us these issues directly, they represented through characters and metaphors and ideas and perspectives that are visually received. Movies like Sinners is able to represent and convey ideas like this, because not only do they use metaphors and symbolism, but they don't tell us everything that goes on. When you learn to write, we're taught to show and not tell, and what these horror movies nowadays do is that they tell us everything without showing us shit. Humanize these characters so that when they die or these scary situations happen, I'm able to feel something. Just anything. I just want to feel.